Okay. All right. It's April 18th, 6:03 p.m. This is the pool subcommittee. In attendance is Mayor Southard. We have Kelly Boone, James Akers, David McNamara, and myself, Jason Camera. And then we have our representatives from MKSK. And we are going to talk about the pool. So go for it. Tell us what you got.
Fantastic. Cover page, you know, it was a wish list from the beginning.
Yep.
Just wanted to keep things consistent with the presentation. What we heard last time was that we liked parts and pieces from option 3, but we were trying to find ways to, of course, get the costs down. And so one of the suggestions we were going to look into for you, and what we're presenting today, is how to combine the waters so that we only have one pump system to pay for, as well as how we could possibly phase it for you. So we have an option 4, however, it's an option 4, A, B, and C. We just couldn't help ourselves.
It's got like 3 or different designs every time. I love it.
So
it'll make a nice appendix. Right, so when you do the project, you have a good place to start. Right, what's been explored.
So this one, building wise, is what you liked best from option 3, the L building with the restroom and bathhouse on the left, and the event center on the right. You asked for more square footage for the event center, and so we have added square footage.
Maybe you zoom in a little bit to the.
That's what I'm going to do, but I gotta figure out how to do this without the mouse. Which is always a challenge.
Yeah, get that little there you go. But I think you can scroll it.
Oh, okay, you can do it.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do the square footage. It is bigger.
Okay.
Then go back to the hand down there. You can tell who works with blue people, not me.
I do, but I usually have a mouse, so I'm not usually using the pad here. So this helps a little bit, make it a little bigger. So we've combined the dive pool and the 6-lane competition pool. We've allowed 2 lanes to be lap lanes for the public when the pool is open. We have, and then the family pool starts, so it's 12 feet on the east side where the dive pool is, down to 4 feet on the opposite end. And that comes forward to join up with 3.5 feet at the high end of the family pool, of course, all the way coming down to the 0 entry. So the dashed line, let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit more, on the family pool is kind of where that consistent 3.5 feet of water is. And then from the dashed line down, then it starts, the grade starts dipping down, or dipping up, so that we get to the 0 entry. So you don't have that full 3.5 feet from there forward. It goes, of course, to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And then that also lends itself to, you have to have at least 3 feet at the bottom of a slide. And then there's some rules about it getting deeper as you get away from the slide to the 3.5 feet, which aligns nicely with the family pool. So we arrange, the 3 options are arranging the pool in different ways and different orientations, but the same concept of allowing the waters to merge with one another at the different levels.
And I'll add a little bit here too. So if you see the competition pool, the swim lap lanes, right? We've shown the lap lane lines in there, right? Saying that you could probably have two in there. Now, it could also be on the north side. And you can see how we put the sliding boards to one side. It could also be the other. Right? So it's weighted. And the starting blocks, like if you had one set of starting blocks, would be on the deep end, right? Because we want to make the other end more like a 4 foot to 4.5 feet.
Okay.
Right? So if you're 5 foot and under, then you really can't have blocks on both ends. But for summer league, you typically don't. You would just have blocks on one end.
Okay.
From that, just something to kind of think about. Summer league, they have no problem diving off the sides from that. But they would still dive off the dive well side, which would be the 12-foot water.
So then, do the diving boards come out?
The diving boards would tip up like this.
Okay.
They tip straight up.
Okay.
And they can lock them in the up position.
Okay.
And you have a meet.
Gotcha.
Right? So what we've done, right, to try and, whittle this down from a cost standpoint, is we took the dive pool and incorporated it into the cock pool. We've, the slide, everybody tends to like the slide dropping in the water versus dropping into a run out. Right? I talked about that. Then the family pool is a zero beach.
Right.
Down to about 3.5 feet,
Right.
which is, the dashed lines are the transitions in the pools. And this pool is about 12% bigger than your current water.
Okay.
But there's a lot more family depth, right, than what you have now, which is, I think, what we heard from that end.
Yeah.
And for the comp pool, you'll see that kind of white finger coming out. That's so you don't have the whole side of the comp pool exposed to the other one. People sometimes neck it way down, sometimes they leave it open. It just kind of depends. But lately we've been seeing a lot of, it's literally, enough for a guard to stand on, but really not the public.
Okay.
So if you think about the guard can stand there and pretty much see the entire pool, right? So a lot of this is about how can you run this with minimal guards.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so that's what this starts to say. Now, if it's really crowded, obviously you put more on a deck and that kind of stuff, right? For various things.
Okay.
And so, and then this is saying the new bathhouse and the event center is really, kind of one building.
Right.
And there's maybe like a breezeway through it, you just get in where you pick it. We didn't really lay out the architecture specifically, but, kind of those rough sketches that we had done, to give you an idea on it. And then we're thinking of flipping the mechanical building to the other side, right? Because that kind of gives a little bit of screen to the neighbors.
Yep.
And it kind of encloses, the pool area. And then we pull more grass, right, next to the top pool, for the most part.
Got it.
In this scheme.
Yeah.
And then the event center has this like outdoor courtyard, right? That maybe it's hedged, maybe it's fenced, right? So if you had an event and the pool's open, you can do both. If you wanted to involve, if the event wanted to, rent the pool and run the whole thing, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
From that. So it's about adjacencies and how it fits on the site. I think the only thing we probably don't like on this is that the pool, in this configuration, butts up against the basketball court. And we're like, okay, the ball might get into the pool every so often, right? So it'd be nice to slim it, pull it down a little bit. But with the orientation of the zero beach area, right, it takes length, right? At the gradients that the code requires.
Right.
So it makes that pool a little longer.
Yeah.
But we like this configuration. We think it works pretty well from that. And if you think about the age groups, right, you got slide, you got the tot, and you got the family, all in this kind of southwest corner.
Right.
And then you got the teens and the basketball in the upper right corner. Right, and the big trees where probably the teens hang out now because it's furthest from the pool and the guards.
True.
Parents.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
True.
I've been there. I was a pool rat one day as well, so you can start to see how that how that can work out in there. The driveway, that's really just a service drive to the mechanical building, can serve as the food truck pad.
Yep.
They can pull in the fence, close the gate, it's still secure, and it could be in there. You could even maybe get two trucks in there if it was, if you had a bigger event.
Yeah.
The dashed, the current top pool, equipment, which is just a shed, if you will, that would all get incorporated into the mechanical building.
Okay.
When that flipped over.
Right.
From that end.
Right. Because
And-
we wouldn't need it would be 2 pumps still, right?
It'd still
Or
be
not?
separate.
Yeah.
Still separate, but we would just move the stuff in there.
Right.
Right, and just just take the pipe and run it into the new building.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then on the lower right side, you'll see the service area, or, you know, where a catering truck could sit there, you know, could come in. Maybe it has a little bit of a screen wall or a hedge, right?
Yep.
So when you come into the area, you don't really see that.
Yeah.
You just see the front of the building. So we like the way this functions on the site quite a bit. You know, could the pool slide west? You know, yes. Could the pool get tighter to the building? A little bit, right? You know, there's other config. And so from this, we said, well, there's a couple more options here with this kind of, call it one water approach, right? But the water's all connected. So this essentially would be a single system, a single filtration.
Right.
And so it cuts down on equipment, maintenance, all that. The top pool always remains, you know, separate because you have accidents there more often. So,
Okay.
so that was kind of the base plan in this single scheme.
Okay.
And then the next thing, what talks about phasing, Amy?
Yeah.
Right?
It does. For
Yeah.
this phase, then, keep our pool alive for a little while longer and put in our bathhouse and event building, and the landscape in the forefront. So that just kind of completes the front part of the park. And that, keeps the costing of just the building at this point in time. So
Okay.
this is our thoughts on phasing.
Okay.
Yeah. So this kind of says, you know, if you get the event center going, still band-aiding the pool, you know, then you get an alternate income going. Might show better on for the financials.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we've done a lot of pools for Columbus where the pool, they kept going with the pool, but they built a new bathhouse. And they bought themselves another couple more years before they had to do it. You know, they did it from a financial reason, but they could. But you had to master plan the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you left the pool. And so this actually works out pretty well because you know, your existing mechanical stays intact.
Right.
The only thing we're maybe slightly worried about that we don't know about is the water and the power that goes to the mechanical building. The new building may be over it. You know, we don't know where that's at yet. It's
Well, we
likely
paid-
to the east.
We paid a lot of money to try to find it last year, and I don't know that we found
If you ever
it.
did.
Good luck.
You know,
Because,
Somewhere, I mean.
well,
There.
we paid a company to come out and
Yeah.
find the lines.
We paid
and-
Bloodhound, so it wasn't just a nobody, we paid.
and they didn't find it? Okay.
No.
So to me, that means it's likely deeper than it would normally be. And so you may just, you may say, well, we could build a building over top of it and we just abandon those lines
Yeah.
and put new in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
those ones are probably needing to
honestly,
be
we're really
available.
kind of talking about that anyways, because that road, Valley Road, which leads up to it,
Yeah.
it's one of the worst streets we have in the village, and it was on deck to get resurfaced, but because of this pool project, we're pulling it out, because we didn't want to resurface the street just to tear it up.
Yep.
To put in new pipe, so.
Yeah, I talked to Mike about it,
Yeah.
and so he kind of coordinated the stubs
Yeah.
out in the main road.
Yep,
So that when that happens, then you just tie onto the stub and don't have to get to the main road
Right.
to great degrees.
but once we know where things are going, if we know that the pump house is over here and that's where we got to get water to, we can start to
Right,
put some of those pipes in.
right, right.
Yeah.
And, and water's not really, tied to grade, you can extend water where you want.
Right.
Right, so that's fairly, easy to deal with.
Yeah.
From that end. The building and the restrooms, or the new bathhouse being where the old bathhouse is, the assumption is that we would tie into that sewer. It may need to get replaced with the street, which is what Mike's thinking, from that end, but that's okay. We're basically in a very similar location.
I can't imagine that sewer system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a little worried about it.
Yeah,
Just from, I guess, other areas that he's had to replace or get into. From that, makes perfect sense. So basically what this says is that you could build a new building in a bathhouse, right, over a fall, in winter, and reopen the pool, and you got a new bathhouse, you continue to band-aid the pool. Hopefully, it hangs.
I know,
forever
every
long.
year we, yeah,
You just, right?
I become
We'll be
very
in that response
religious.
a lot. We'll be praying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Bexley was like that. I mean, everybody gets into that kind of situation, but
Bexley,
But-
like that?
it was. Before the current pool.
I can't imagine Bexley having a money problem like that.
Yeah, no, they were the ones that said, well, that pool company told us we could build a pool for $1.5 million. That's true, but that's not the bathhouse, that's not the parking, that's not the, the mechanical building, everything else.
Yeah.
Those wouldn't.
Yep,
So from phasing, so we really try to pay attention to phasing on here. That says if you're building wood first,
yeah,
right? Because you almost can't do the pool because you get forced into the building.
right,
But you can do the building before the pool if the pool can hang on,
correct. Yep.
right? And so that's kind of the recipe here.
We've put, as long as the water will stay in the pool, I know.
I'm so sorry.
We have done some improvements to the mechanical
Yeah.
over the last couple of years that I think we will be okay.
Carry it,
Yeah, we just put a new, it's not a pump, but it kind of pulls the water. It's before the basket, the filter basket.
Well, it's probably
It's not the filters, it's not the big giant filters we have.
it's the suction basket or something.
It's before that. It's
Search tank. Well,
no.
I remember seeing it.
Anyway,
I mean, the equipment in there
we've been in
is
the
very
room.
simple.
Yeah, we've been in that room,
Yeah.
but there's five big filters,
Filter tanks.
right?
Yeah.
It's the electrical piece that sucks the water.
Okay.
We just had a whole brand new one done
Yeah.
for this year.
That must be like the primary pump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we spent I think it was about $5,000 to repair that.
That's not surprising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's new now.
Okay.
And we have a spare filter, and 2 of them have been replaced recently, probably 2 years ago.
That sounds great.
We have a spare one. There's 5 total, so
Yeah.
we'd have to have 2 go.
I remember seeing all the filters
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I'm sure they're sand filters, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
uh-huh.
From that. So really, all these little variations kind of plan on that approach, just to try and get to a dollar amount that
Yeah.
you can implement. And then, when you would commission the building to get done, obviously you pull an architect on that, and we would use this as a guide, right, to do that. And obviously the whole event center thing, it can be bigger, it can be smaller, but if you look at the room that's around it with the existing pool, you've got that flexibility.
Right,
In it. Even if the bathhouse had to go west more to make the event center bigger, you could.
yeah,
Just the way that it works out. So, and then when you finally do the pool, whichever version of these or
Right.
our new version, it should look seamless. That you don't see like, oh, that was built first, this is
Right.
built second, right? So we try to design around that.
Yeah.
If we can.
yep, perfect.
Okay, and
So
hit
next
the
variation.
next version.
Oh,
So, this variation turns the family pool. I think this was a favorite orientation in
Yeah.
option 3. And of course turns the competition pool too. So this puts your fun stuff right up front for everybody to see. Not much difference in how the different bodies of water interact with each other and how they work as a one water system, but it's just a matter of how it's oriented and how it fits on the site. The buildings in this option we've separated between the bathhouse and the
Okay.
event building and have a thoroughfare. This is just kind of a trellis overhead where the office could be right on the edge of the bathhouse or the event center, either one. And then this is, they don't have to go through any buildings in order to get into the pool. But you have a nice designated area for your event space. Once again, we have a lawn for outdoor use. And in both of these schemes, I pointed to the concession in the last one, but here you can see
Oh, I
the
see it.
concessions
Yep.
in the corner.
yep, I see it.
Yeah, so that it can be housed within,
And-
locations and stuff are.
And by separating two buildings, we potentially don't have to, the bathhouse doesn't necessarily need to be winterized.
Correct.
So then we're only paying for heat in the event
In
building.
the one.
Yeah, which could be a cost savings as well.
Yeah.
Does the event building have restaurants in it?
Or it would have
It
to,
would be too,
yeah,
yes.
Is that,
yeah.
I didn't know that was
And
considered in that
I
design.
think that was a consideration, people wanted the restrooms to
Yeah.
be separate from the event space anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
And if the bathhouse is designed going in, that it's gonna be winterized, shut down, right?
yeah,
Then all the shut-offs
Yep.
and things could be set so that it drains out like
Mhm.
gravity,
mhm,
right? And the valves are all deeper,
Yep.
right? So you're not really trying to blow it out with equipment.
Yep.
You're just opening everything up, turning the valves on, and it drains, right? From that. So you can easily do that. And the event center then is its own kind of freestanding,
yeah,
kind of place. Now, one thing you'll notice is this is with the slide up front, right? If you put the slide up front like this,
mhm,
this tends to scream water park,
yeah,
right? Just because.
yeah,
If the slide is in the back,
mhm.
right, then it's less like a water
Yeah.
park.
I'll tell you what I liked, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was that it kind of blocks the people bathing at the pool from the public outside the pool. Because you got buildings that are blocking it, you got that
Correct.
giant slide that's kind of blocking it.
Right.
There is some landscaping there too, but that has been a concern is that, people are laying out, you got those creepy people that are
Yeah.
watching
Hanging out by
through the
fence.
fence. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And you'll notice, well, because of slide where it's at, it's pushed the pool out.
Uh-huh,
So you've got more green, like when you arrive.
yeah,
The pool's away from the building,
uh-huh,
right? So those lawn areas would tend to have people on it,
right,
right? And so it's more of a park and a pool
yep,
versus, a pool and a park kind of thing,
yeah.
right?
So the one thing I personally am not a big fan of in either of these yet is how close the pump house is to the pool.
Right.
I imagine it's because it's cheaper, because there's less pipes and all that, but it just feels like it cuts off part of the property.
Yeah, and I think that's a good observation, okay? So it comes down to, like, we always thought there was a pedestrian access out of the northwest corner of this site.
Technically there is, we own that, the village owns it.
But
There's
we-
no path, there's no trail.
But we couldn't really find the easement for it in the description.
I'm sure Mike would Mike,
Maybe.
We asked Mike, and he sent us the plat,
yeah,
because we were looking for that.
yeah,
Because our thought was that, okay, a trail could come to the park, and it would weave out that northwest corner tied to the main road.
yeah.
So that people could walk right in, kind of the back door, if you will.
They're supposed to be, so maybe,
Yeah, we couldn't find it, and I don't know that Mike did either, at least the plats didn't show that,
Okay.
on the county auditor. But what I was getting at is that, where's your fence, right? Like, is the fence in this area at the property lines?
right,
Or is it like a double fence? But then you end up with like skinny park ground, right? Ground between the fence and the homeowners.
right,
Right? And so if there was that access out that northwest corner, then we would want to drag a trail up through there. So it's like part of the walking path.
that's what I would think, that's what I would like, that's what I would think, is that it's like a 6-foot wide
Sure.
asphalt
Yeah.
path
Yeah,
that runs along the fence line. or-
right. And
Yeah,
it gets out to the street to the northwest, I
Yeah.
forget the name, but then it allows
Yeah.
those residents
Yeah.
an easy access to this park and pool
I
area.
think if we, I'm gonna say this on a public record, but
I do.
I know you do it all the time.
Like, can we pause that for 8 seconds?
If we don't use this space needs to be set aside for recreational purposes for the village. And if we don't develop it that way, down the road, they're gonna look to put something else on this property.
Yeah, right. There's two schools of thought. You fence the whole thing, and it's cool.
Yeah,
But then the other 9 months of the year,
right,
you're not using it.
yeah,
And this could easily be pushed out and gives you more lawn space for your pool, more park space in here as part of your pool. I think we were going for efficiencies at this point in time.
Yeah.
Which is why we
Yeah.
did that.
yeah,
But that pump house could really be any length from that.
yeah.
From that.
From here,
Yeah.
yeah. And this
Because
is
there's
shorter
nothing-
too, because we put a trellis on top.
Yeah, and I like the trellis, it's nice, it adds aesthetic to it, but, I think if it was close, of course, there's houses there, and people may not want that
Sure.
close to them, but
It can even
still.
slide down, and so it's not on axis. So the zero beach pool is just open to the lawn.
Right,
Sure.
Right, there's
yeah.
many options.
Which I think would be nice
That would be-
for a family,
Right, I think that
yeah,
would be-
I think they would like that, yeah,
I completely agree.
yeah.
I mean, even if we,
But, I mean, that's getting into the weeds on this, I'm sorry, I shouldn't,
Well, that's kind of, those are the kind of decisions, the nuances that you do when you actually design
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
And what we see is that, like you guys experience too, most people, use the chaise lounges out in the grass. Right? And so you try and minimize your deck.
yeah,
Right? Kind of the antithesis to
Yep.
New Albany. Like New Albany is a paved jungle.
right,
Right?
we
right,
don't have any on concrete, ours are all in grass.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what appear like, which
Yeah, it
I
is.
think way for right there.
yeah,
For a pool.
yep,
So you can see, the decks, we're trying to keep, pretty, and then the other thing you have to think about is under the slide, that typically ends up being like a gravel or a cobble area.
Okay.
Because, it has drips
Yeah.
and leaks into it, and we've planted it sometimes, we've done just stone, we've done a mix of things.
Okay.
Right, and people don't really go in there, and we tend to put bollards with just either rope chain, right, that says, don't go in there.
Okay.
Right, could you step over it? Sure.
yeah, yeah,
But it basically stays out. And so the question is, do you want that at the front?
yeah,
Right?
true,
Because it's
Yep.
big,
yep,
right? And so, so that's probably the nuances of this one. From that.
okay,
But we do like, in this one, we like the lap lanes clear
Yeah.
over to the right.
uh-huh,
We would probably flip the stair, that little stair appendage, over to the dive well side.
yeah,
Because what that is when you dive, instead of trying to go up a ladder, you basically just stand and you walk up the steps.
That'd be
And it's
great.
an appendage.
yeah,
It's a lot nicer than the ladders,
Yeah, this is just easier.
Yeah.
But you could just do a ladder.
no, I think, no,
People would like, people would
the
like.
steps would be much
I
better,
think,
yeah,
we've seen it used, like Columbus had it, we put it at a couple of Columbus schools, and they like it a lot.
We've seen us trying to get out of it, we're. Right,
yeah,
we all love it.
Yeah. So, so, I don't know, this we kind of like, we're just a little unsure about the slide being, up
Yeah.
front in your face.
yeah, okay,
Right, when we walk in.
alright, nothing,
That's kind of the comparisons of water.
right,
Yeah.
There.
so 12%, okay.
Okay.
I suppose also kind of keeping the footprint of where we have everything can kind of keep the cost down too, because there's not much excavating
Right.
happening.
Right. If we're in a general, it'll look like a bomb went up when they tear that out.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah,
the most part, the hole's in the same spot.
Right.
Especially the 12-foot side.
right.
Right, or it's
Yeah.
near there.
They're just pushing the dirt around more than anything, right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Phasing
okay,
once again.
Yep.
So you can see phasing,
Yeah.
it works just as well.
yep,
Yeah. And the only thing here is that,
Sorry.
yeah, pop back just, well, we can also show it here, Andy.
It's the same building.
The service drive on this one
mm-hmm,
is tighter. So the food truck would likely be sitting north-south, paralleling the line, right? Versus being kind of around the corner and behind a screen.
yeah,
But could you take all this and slide it west? You
yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah,
You could do that, to a certain degree,
right,
if you want to get into that.
You mean
yeah,
the,
for the caterer,
for the caterer?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a food truck we have.
yeah.
In this
But-
phase, our food truck would be out here, but in the future phases, we
Right.
have the drive again from the middle.
yeah,
Right.
okay,
And usually the caterers, they're running around in vans, for the most part.
yep,
You can haul quite a bit in a van. So.
exactly, okay,
And then the final We flipped the slides. So essentially, what we had before, but instead of the slide being front and center, it's in the back again. That is the main difference on this one.
I like that
And the
one too.
finger is a little bit wider because of separating the depths of the dive pool and the slide draw. But, and once again, for efficiency, this is closer, but it can either come down or it can come out.
Yeah.
So,
And the last two, we whacked the basketball court, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
we could,
I still put the note on there,
Yeah.
but just to let you know that's where it was.
But we could add, it's concrete, like
A
a
slide.
concrete slab is not that
Yeah.
expensive.
and you know, they might like to have a new court.
Yeah.
Right? So you kind of have your choice. And so the other thing that we didn't really like, too much is that the slide gets into kind of the edge of the canopy of the tree there. But if you look,
too, we're gonna have leaf issues.
well, those are oaks, right? So those leaves hang on to well past the pools.
Yeah.
Opening, closing,
Right.
that kind of stuff,
Right.
right? So,
And this one could also slide down a little bit. We
Correct.
slide the one here again for you, but
Yeah.
all of this could also slide if we're concerned about that.
If that were to connect, you might have more room for the basketball court too.
yeah. Yeah. So you can also do the same,
There are people who do.
yeah. You can also do the same scheme and just pull it all tighter to the building.
Right.
And so maybe you just call it a hedge that separates, maybe the bathhouse from the pool.
Yeah.
Right, if you want a little bit of green, with some trees to throw some shade, potentially. Or umbrellas, right, you can go the other way. So, we like this one because it puts the slide back where the trees are as
Right.
a background, and
Right.
make it look smaller, because the trees are huge back there.
Yep.
Right, so it's got a scale thing.
Yep.
So when you walk in here, this might feel more like a country club,
Okay.
because it's more open, green up front, and the big stuff's in the back. Right, and of course the buildings could slide up and down that frontage there. Right, like if we wanted more room for, a service drive for caterers, you could take
Right.
those buildings and slide it to the west, even almost all the way up to the top pool if you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so we like this configuration. The finger between the comp pool and the slide and the other pool, that could be as wide as you want it.
Okay.
Like, so if you want to get a row of chaise lounge chairs down the middle of that, you would go 5, 7, 5.
Okay.
Right? So you'd be 17 feet.
Okay.
This is more like what, Amy?
It's roughly 10.
10?
Okay.
Yeah, we're about 10 here too. But people like being out in the peninsula sometimes, as it's called, right? Want to be right in the middle of the action, right? And so you could easily do that, and because we've got it net down, you really don't add much to the water, right? Because the peninsula takes up most of it. Right, so.
Is there a requirement on the width between the tip of the peninsula and the other wall of the pool? Is there?
That
Well-
has to do with depth of water.
Right. Right. But how does? Could it be
The width.
5 feet instead of?
I don't think there is,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
there's the unwritten rule, right? That people go, well, can I jump that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you want to be over it enough that people won't try and jump it.
Yeah. 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 Okay. That's a good point. Yep.
Right? I can make it.
Yep.
Right? You always see them jumping from building to building, right? On the videos and stuff. It's kind of like that. So you kind of make it long enough that you're like, yeah, I can't make that.
Right.
Right?
Okay. What about? What if that peninsula had like a step down, almost like a seat around it in the water? Is that
Yeah.
possible?
Oh yeah. Over on the family pool side, right there, you do see a lot of benches people will put in there.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can sit right in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be great. Now, here's another thing too.
I'd like to see a wider one that I could put my lounge chair. I'm gonna resort now.
In the water ones that are-
Yeah. Yeah. She wants a sunning ledge, a tanning
Yeah, I
ledge.
want a sunning light,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's another twist, right? Think of the peninsula, right?
yeah,
If the peninsula, instead of being parallel, was like this,
oh, yeah,
right? It would be wider. This would come more direct west, right? See, so those are the nuances that we get into, when we get to the actual design of it.
yeah,
On it. And then you can get more room out there, and a lot of times, we put like a big umbrella, like a 20-foot umbrella out there
it would pull that,
in the deck.
it would,
Those who don't like the sun.
well, and that would pull that slide just a little bit out of that tree canopy
It
too,
would.
yeah.
Right. So you can see as we start to
Yeah.
hone in a little bit,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of nuances. It would also take your building and pull your building, even if
Right.
we offset it from the end. And it
Yeah.
would pull it a little closer to
Yep,
the parking lot
yep,
on that.
okay,
And so,
I'm not mad about any of these.
yeah.
Concerned about peepers, we can always put tall shrubs.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that, or,
Yep.
Yeah.
and right now we have scrim up or something like that to help.
Yeah, we could actually go really cool.
But we
There
could do
used to be
something
a cool
nice,
screen.
yeah.
I don't know if cool, but there was a flowery screen that was, now we just have black, but we could get something
Yeah.
too.
yeah, because you do have your fence up front there.
So,
I really like the first one a lot.
I'm guessing page 7 and 8 might have some estimated
numbers.
pricing on it.
I was gonna say I like one, and
Yeah.
I like the idea of the slide blocking, but I
Yeah.
also feel like when you walk in, it's like you trip over it. I
Yeah,
just feel like
yeah.
it's like the thing that, and you don't trip over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your face. I feel like, it feels like when you walk into this, that one is not plug, I feel like you trip right on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're trying to look through something to see where you want to go.
Yeah, I like the 1 and 3.
Yeah.
I like the idea, I like the idea of this, except for the fact when the kids get in and the parents are still trying to pay for their stuff and the kids are already in the pool and mom and dad's not ready yet.
Yeah.
They're right there at a 0 edge, immediate.
I would say that's the only little concern that I would have with that, is mom and dad's trying to play, or pay, and the kids are like halfway
Yeah,
through
they're like in the water.
Yeah, to me, this feels tight to me. In general, it feels tight.
To the building.
Everything, the whole space just feels like we've taken this big open field and kind of
Yeah.
consolidated it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you don't see green between the building and the pool.
Right,
So like maybe move it over and out.
Right. So this could slide over and maybe up.
could it even turn?
Sure. Yeah.
Because,
Try not
because
to-
here's what I see that's missing. I think with the concession stand, we need an area for picnic tables and stuff like that, or, some type of
Right.
place
Yeah,
to
that would be-
eat.
That would be really.
And there's not really a large enough concrete area in any of these to
Yeah.
kind of have that.
Yeah, I think we kind of envision that in that green space to the north of the trails
Yeah,
of that.
and we've done that. That's currently what we do, but I'll tell you, it would be nice just to.
Pavement.
Okay, first the chairs sink into the mud
Yeah.
when it gets
When
wet.
it's wet.
And then the other thing is, to me, if it was set up correctly, that we could just hose it down, because that's one of the reasons. It used to be on the concrete, the picnic tables and what. And they moved it over because food would drop, and then the animals would come. And if it's in the grass, it's not as big a problem. But I think if it's set up right with a drain that it flows to, you hose it down and you're done. And
Yep. Yeah,
So-
I think, in these schemes, we could easily work that in,
Yeah,
table,
yeah.
like, call 5, 6 tables in there, that you can get 4 or 5 people at.
And I think it would be, like a place where a fire pit could be put up, or, if we had a band at the pool, it would be nice that there was a concrete area for that.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little covered part to that. What was the other thing I was thinking
You guys
about?
do movie night at the pool?
That was the other thing I was thinking about. Yeah, movie night where, and we're just starting to try to do that stuff this year, so
Yeah.
it may not even work, but,
I don't know, it's usually pretty popular.
I'd like to make sure that we think through all those things and how people would watch the movie, where you'd sit, you know, are you in the water, are you on chairs, and kind of think through some of that. But that's the other thing that kind of feels like it's missing, just an area to eat at.
Yeah. Kind of an outdoor cafe,
Yeah.
just near the concession.
Yeah, and honestly, if it's part of the event space, it can kind of be dual functioning, you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, how you see the event space being managed, especially when the pool's open,
Yeah,
right? Will drive a lot of the design of the outdoor areas as well as the event space.
yeah.
And so, you know, this whole process, you know, the thought is that, and we'll probably have like, let's develop like the favorites plan, right? That says, here's where we ended up in this process.
Yeah.
But we include all the options that we've done to date.
Right.
Right, so somebody pulls this master plan back up in a couple of years and goes, okay, yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah.
Here's all what we looked at, and here's why we ended up here.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then there may be some new program elements that you say, but let's try to incorporate these.
Right.
And so then that would you know give a good roadmap for the next project.
Right.
Right. And it'll have to begin, you know, if you proceed with the bathhouse or even just the event center. Right. You have to know how the rest of this town lays out.
Yeah, right.
Within reason.
Right,
You know, to
right.
be able to place it
Right.
from that end. So
Okay.
but I think we proved to ourselves that this is very doable in a phased thing that doesn't disrupt your current goals,
Yeah.
right?
How about the shared baby pool?
Yeah, and cost-wise, it's bite-sized chunks.
Right. Which
Yeah.
would be nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think money is obviously gonna be the biggest. You know, so I love the piecemeal effect of this.
Alright, of course, this is always
Oh, yeah.
so small
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
screen.
Maybe you
And there's still options in
zip
here,
to the
right? You
bottom
kind of,
and blow up the bottom part.
That's all.
But you'll see how going with a single body of water, right, plus the top pool and condensing it to within, call it 10-15% of the existing pool, you know, it brought down
okay,
the overall cost. So what this says is, you know, we're roughly a little over $6 million. That includes all the soft costs
right,
in there.
right,
Now, that assumes a certain size in the event center and all that stuff. So that's if you want to build it all at once.
right,
If you, so then it's going to crack at, well, what would we have to do if we just did the bathhouse and the event center? Right? And what would that roughly cost? And as Amy's getting to that, it's roughly a little over $2 million
okay,
with all the soft costs in there. 2.5.
okay,
On it. We didn't touch the parking lot. We left it gravel.
right,
Right, because and we left the configuration and all that. You know, that could be a longer term thing,
right,
right, that you can do with a street paving project potentially.
okay,
I think we'd go ahead and lay it out,
yeah, yeah,
right, you know, in a first phase.
Right.
Right, and call it you could even price it as an alternate, right? And so you get a price, put in the file.
Right.
Or Mike then could grab it, add it to you know, to a street project. So the 2 million or you know 2.25 all in, you know, is much more achievable in a short term, right? And so
okay,
again, it kind of depends on the building
okay,
and the square footage.
yep. So what are some of those soft costs that are in there? And
Yeah,
It's kind of-
if you can pull that down even a little bit, yeah.
Just
Okay,
kind of
so if you see that the 12%, we kind of said design, construction, contingency. So part of that would go forward into the construction, right? In case we discovered something that cost more when you went to dig it up,
Right,
right? The design part of that says, you know, we want a little more in the event center, right? Then the construction manager, okay, now this is assuming a construction manager approach, right? They would hire all the subs and make it all happen. The other approach you could go is you could go with GC, right? Well, the GC is going to get a fee anyway
Right.
on top of his costs, so it almost washes. you know, within. I think it depends on what Mike and the village is comfortable with.
Right.
You know, I don't know if you did a GC on this building or if you had a CM.
What did they have, do you know?
Construction engineer.
When you built this?
Yeah.
Construction manager, okay.
Okay. And then soft costs, you know, that's, you know, survey, geotech, and design fees.
Gotcha.
You know, engineering, architecture,
Right.
et cetera.
Yep.
And so we just put a flat 10% on that. That usually will cover it, you know, within things. And so that you're truly looking at a total.
Gotcha,
Right?
okay,
A
yeah.
lot of times people don't put the soft costs in there.
Yep,
And then you're like, well, I don't have that for, you know, to get this thing designed. So we
Mhm.
try and put it, you know, like the top end number
yeah,
on it. And then that's $24, you know, $2,024. So, you know, if escalation is 3% this year, then we have to kick it up a little bit, right?
okay.
But,
I don't know, $155 per square foot of new, you know, like tear down and new construction's not that bad. I mean, look on Zillow.
yeah, yeah.
What was this building, do you remember? I don't remember
This has
either.
gotta be way bigger. you know?
Yeah, true, it
This is
is,
only about
but still, it's cost per square foot, so.
Yeah, I'm just saying, this is only a $600,000 difference from this building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a big one. So this is pretty good value.
Yeah, this is about, I think we started at 3.1, but then we added the generator and stuff.
Okay.
You probably should have done the overhead for the police department vehicles, but that's no use rehashing that here.
Yeah. Well, and so the square footage costs, the reason it's, like if you scroll up, Andy, and you show them, you know, the cost we're carrying per building, I think we're carrying $350 to $400 a foot for the building.
Okay,
Right? So what pulls that down is the site portions of it, because you're only spending, you know, $10, $12 a foot for that.
right,
And so it, you know, it artificially kind of makes that look lower on it. But then if you go back to the main estimate, that's only like, what's that, 55 a foot or something, or 70 some a foot, I forget, down at the bottom there. Because it includes the whole site.
that was
53 a foot.
53, okay.
Yeah. Because, you know, grass,
gotcha. Yeah.
you're not spending anything on it.
Right,
Yeah. So right now it's like 2.5 for first phase, then you'd be, call it 4 for the second phase. You know, the pool, $4 million pool, mechanical building. Today's dollar, so, you know, the financial side, that might be a little more palatable in the short term,
okay.
at least for kind of planning purposes.
Right, yep,
From that.
okay. Cool.
And can you email these over?
Yeah. Yeah, just email them to us, so we have them.
Have a
and
couple
we
of
can-
hard
We brought hard
copies.
copies,
Yeah.
and we'll send you the PDF.
Perfect,
That's better.
Yeah, and we got both.
yeah,
We don't want to give you the hard copies first, because then you look through it.
true,
We do cheat.
I do the same thing.
yeah. All right, what questions?
Yeah.
Anyone?
So if we do it in phases, there's no, like if we have the building built and then we would add the pool, there's no like foundation type problems that could come up with dig in and move in.
As long as we've got a decent distance between it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, we actually, on one of the Columbus pools, we built the building within probably 12 feet of the pool,
Okay.
existing pool, and it was shaky from that. And the soils here tend to hang together, right? We're a little heavier clay
Yeah,
on it, so that's typically not an issue. The deep end of the pool, you know, the future pool, the deep end is further away from the building, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
not that big a deal. Yeah. Yeah, the Grandview pool, they had it was a spring, and it was in the deep end.
yeah,
Yes, right, how convenient.
I know, we tried like hell to get them to, hey, let's put a wet well in here and salvage that thing, and you could use that to fill the pool.
Yeah.
Because there's actually pretty good water on it, but the geotech was like, no. You wouldn't do that on that, but they had to deal with that, right? That's one of those kind of in-the-field surprises, you know? They really wasn't that bad. But anyway, the Grandview pool has a bench, like you were saying there, kind of, their top pool was connected to the main pool, but it was filtered separately. And there was like a little fence railing. And on the pool side, the zero beach side, was a bench. So people could sit, and their kids are right back here, they could do this. And then look at the older kids in the top pool.
No, yeah, I love the idea of being able to sit around
That peninsula.
Yeah,
oh yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Next
Yeah.
steps.
I could see us taking, like the comments of what you liked and creating kind of here's where we think the final concept is, at least at master plan level,
Okay,
right? And then estimate that.
Okay.
It'll be real similar
yeah,
to it. And then we would, kind of put all this together and call it a pamphlet kind of thing, right? So it's a thing.
okay,
Right, that's a booklet, along with all the precedent images that we've shown at the very beginning, right? How this whole process goes. So it's like a workbook,
Yeah,
when you go to start the next piece, right?
Well, thank you.
yeah, that is awesome.
yeah. Cool, good. Wow, okay.
I know that's a lot.
I know,
Yeah.
a lot to digest.
Great, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to kind of like chew on it for a while.
Right,
Because things will, ideas that'll pop out, just kind of scratch them down.
yep, perfect. Okay,
I'm a dummy. I'm supposed to be here next week, not this week. I can't go about the stupid, single-use thing, Parks and Rec meeting. My week's wrong. I get to go home. Yeah, I'm going.
So you got to listen to it.
For some reason,
Okay.
all right, well, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting so we can turn these off, right? So just hit the stop button, all right?